All right, let's just get right into it. What if I told you you could create a star with just a speaker? I know, it sounds like something straight out of an old alchemy text, right? Like pure magic. But here's the thing, it's not magic. It's happening right now in labs all across the globe, and it's all happening inside a simple little glass flask.
So here's how it works. You take a jar of water, pretty simple stuff. Then you pump in these sound waves, and we're talking powerful sound waves, but at a frequency you can't even hear. Right in the middle of all that liquid, a single tiny bubble of air gets, well, trapped. It doesn't float up and pop like you'd expect. Nope, it just kind of hangs there in the middle, almost like it's dancing.
And then, with every single pulse of sound, that little bubble just screams. It collapses in on itself so violently, so impossibly fast, that for just a tiny fraction of a second, the gas trapped inside reaches temperatures that, well, they rival the surface of our sun. It turns into this little ball of glowing plasma, and it lets out a flash of light that, honestly, even after almost a century of study, physics still can't completely explain. There's a name for this, of course. It's called sonoluminescence, literally sound turning into light. So here's the real question, the one that keeps scientists up at night. How on earth is it possible for a simple sound wave to concentrate energy by a factor of 1 trillion to create a little star in a jar, and what could the answer possibly mean? Let's dig in. Okay, to really get this whole mystery, we've got to go back in time. We're talking Cologne, Germany, 1934. You have these two scientists in a dark room. And believe me, they were not looking for stars in jars. They were just trying to build better sonar for submarines. So they're running these experiments, blasting high-frequency ultrasound into a tank of photographic developer, and they notice something really weird. Their film keeps getting ruined. It's being fogged up by light that seems to be coming from the water itself. I mean, who would believe that? For decades, nobody really could study it properly. It was just this chaotic, messy cloud of thousands of tiny flashing bubbles. But then, fast forward to the early 90s, and scientists finally figure out how to trap just one single bubble. And that, my friends, is when things went from weird to absolutely bizarre. All right, let's get into the mechanics of this, because this is where the physics gets wild. Once you've got that single bubble trapped and you're hitting it with those sound waves, the bubble starts to breathe. It expands and it contracts over and over. But calling it contracting is, well, it's a huge understatement for the sheer violence of what's really going on. Okay, to really wrap your head around the scale of this collapse, try this on for size. Imagine a balloon the size of a giant sports stadium. Now imagine it shrinking down to the size of a tiny marble, all in less than the blink of an eye. The collapse is so fast, we're talking supersonic, that the poor little molecules inside have absolutely no time to escape. They get trapped, they get crushed. So you've got all this insane pressure, all this incredible speed, squeezing these molecules into this tinier and tinier space. The temperature, it has absolutely nowhere to go but up, way up. Which leads us to the big question, right? Exactly how hot are we talking here? Get ready for this. We're talking about a jump from, regular room temperature to as high as 20,000 Kelvin. No, that is not a typo. 20,000 Kelvin. And just to put that number in perspective for you, the surface of our sun, that's about 5,800 Kelvin. So this tiny little bubble, just floating around in a cup of normal water, is getting 3, maybe even 4 times hotter than the surface of the sun. It's just mind-blowing. And this is where the mystery gets even deeper. See, according to everything we know from classical physics, the bubbles should get hot, glow for a little while, and then cool down. Makes sense, right? But that is not what happens. The flash of light lasts for less than 50 picoseconds. That's 50 times trillionths of a second. It's so fast, the light just turns off instantly. It's almost as if whatever is creating the light is destroyed faster than the light itself can even get away. So the scientists start playing around with the recipe, right? They're like, okay, what's in the bubble? It's air. So they replace the air with pure nitrogen, and the light's gone, vanished. Okay, what about pure oxygen? Nope, nothing. But then they add just a tiny little pinch, like 1% of argon, one of those noble gases. And boom, the light comes roaring back, even brighter than before. So what's so special about argon? Well, the leading theory is that it's basically a brutal game of molecular survival.
See, when that bubble collapses, molecules like nitrogen and oxygen just break apart and dissolve into the water around them. But argon is a noble gas. It doesn't react with anything. It's tough, so it just stays inside, taking the full crushing force of that thermal hammer. All that heat has nowhere else to go, so it just superheats the argon until it literally screams out in a flash of light. Okay, so that kind of sounds like case closed, right? Argon's the secret ingredient, but not so fast. The problem is, the collapse is just too perfect. It's too stable. This little bubble stays in a perfect sphere while it shrinks at 4 times the speed of sound. And that perfection, it led someone to ask a very, very dangerous question. A question that could change everything.
And that question was this: if it's hot enough to glow, is it hot enough to fuse? We're talking about nuclear fusion, the holy grail of energy production. To make it happen, you need millions and millions of degrees of heat. And the thinking went, if this tiny bubble can get hotter than the sun, maybe, just maybe, it could get hot enough to actually fuse atoms together and unlock limitless, clean energy. And for a moment there, it looked like it might be true. Back in the early 2000s, a group of scientists came out and claimed they'd actually done it. They called it bubble fusion. They said the temperatures inside weren't just 20,000 degrees, they were hitting millions of degrees, hot enough to generate the telltale sign of fusion, neutrons. I mean, the promise was literally a power plant in a bucket.
But here's the thing about science. It's a brutal, honest judge. Other labs all over the world tried to replicate the experiment, and they couldn't. The neutrons just weren't there. The consensus now is that it was most likely an error in their measurements. And just like that, the dream of bubble fusion collapsed.
But the fact that people even considered fusion tells you how wild this phenomenon is. The central mystery is so profound, it's attracted some really out there theories. I'm talking about the legendary physicist, Nobel laureate Julian Schwinger. He proposed that the bubble's surface was moving so incredibly fast that it was literally tearing photons out of the quantum vacuum, out of the fabric of empty space itself. Now, most physicists think he was wrong, but it just goes to show you how bonkers this thing is when a Nobel Prize winner has to invoke quantum vacuum energy just to try and explain it. And you know, while we humans are in our labs arguing about it, it turns out nature has been doing this all along. I want you to meet the pistol shrimp. This little guy has one giant oversized claw, and it snaps that claw shut at over 100 kilometers an hour. When it does that, it creates a tiny, low-pressure bubble in the water, a cavitation bubble. And guess what happens when that bubble collapses? It creates a shockwave that stuns its prey. And for a split second, it also produces sonoluminescence. Yeah, people call it shrimp light. This tiny little creature is generating temperatures of nearly 5,000 Kelvin with its claw. This proves that what we're seeing isn't some weird laboratory trick. It's a fundamental part of physics, a fundamental part of how our universe works. So, here we are. After all this time, after all the experiments, the debates, the wild theories, we are still left with one profound unanswered question. What exactly are we looking at when that bubble flashes? Is it a tiny failed attempt at nuclear fusion? Is it, somehow, a tear in the very fabric of space-time? Or is it just fluid dynamics pushed to its most violent, absolute limit? We've got a pretty good handle on the how. You know, the sound waves, the collapse, the heating. But the deep fundamental why, and what the ultimate limits of this power are, that's still a total mystery. You know, every time one of those bubbles flashes, it's just this incredible reminder that you don't always need a particle accelerator that's miles long to find the deepest puzzles of the universe. Sometimes the greatest mysteries are hiding right in front of us, in a simple glass of water, just waiting for someone to stop and listen